Well, good afternoon, CMS Dallas family. We have our very first interview today with one of our staff members that we wanted to highlight in our newsletter. This is our inaugural edition of the newsletter. And Michael Moore, who has just recently gotten a new promotion here. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mike.
He is going to be our first guinea pig for our interview. And it's a real informal time that we're having today, and we want to share that with you, too. So, Mike, first tell us a little bit about your civil service career.
Well, I'm from Springfield, Illinois, originally, and that's a government town, state capital. So a lot of my family grew up, and I grew up with them working in government. So it's very familiar to me. So I started out there, state of Illinois, back in 2000. Worked there for about 10 years. Did my 10 years there working for the state legislature, and I just felt something, pulling me to do something different. It's one of those times in your career where you get to a point where you're just ready for a different challenge. So right about that time, the Affordable Care Act had just passed. So Baltimore was hiring like crazy. So I was able to jump on that train and get out there to CMS. I worked for the Center for Medicare for the Hospital and Ambulatory Policy Group for about 2 years. Great experience. Working with policy, working with rulemaking was very rewarding and very insightful. It's one of the things we don't really get to see that much out in the region, but it's really cool to get to do that. But about that, about that time, about 2012, my wife and I looked at each other and we're just tired of winter. So we were tired of the cold, and we decided, where could we go? I wanted to stay with this great organization, CMS, but where could we go where I could stay with this organization, but it'd be warmer? And Dallas was the answer for that. So I started here in 2012 and been here ever since. It's been a great experience. My civil service experience has been wonderful. Helping the U.S. public has been rewarding. So it's just been great.
That's super. A lot of times we never know where people have been before we see them in the role that they're in now. So that's super important for our listeners and people that work with you to have that sense of history. To know that you didn't just show up today and this is your first job.
Right.
You've been around the block.
I've been around the block a little bit.
Okay. Well, speaking of being around the block a little bit, you've learned a lot of things from a lot of people, and I'm sure there's been influencers in your life, in your personal life and in your professional life. But when you talk about civil service, when you talk about some of the things that you have done in civil service, can you think of some person or maybe a particular position that was super influential to you?
Yeah, there's a couple, and the first one that comes to mind, it's going back a ways, actually, to my childhood. My grandmother was a teacher, the epitome of civil servant, teaching young children, and she was such an influence on my life. The way her compassion towards her students, her compassion towards just people in general, is something that led me to want to pursue a career in a field where I could help people. So I would say, ultimately, that's the foundation for my civil service, is just trying to model myself after my grandmother. I've had some great bosses, both at the state and at CMS. I think that the person who I took over for, Art Pagan, was a great mentor for me, and I think just being kind to people and empowering people to make decisions is something that I think he was really good at, and that's something I took away too, because you have to trust your team. And empowering those folks to get that work done is certainly a trait that he had that I kind of picked up on and try to implement still today.
Great. Well, that's really kind of you to mention Art. Lots of us miss him. We didn't get a chance to say goodbye because he left during the COVID year.
Yes.
And so for those that didn't get an opportunity to say goodbye to Art, he's still in the area. And he left a forwarding address. If you'd like that, you can contact me, and I'll make sure that you get that.
We can't just broadcast it out to
No,
everybody?
because this is going to go on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
First.
Oh, yeah.
So
we
don't want to give any personal
Okay,
information about that. So, Mike, when we talk about you and we talk about where you've been and who influenced you, what would be something that people would be surprised to find out about Michael Moore? Besides, you don't make films.
I don't make films. That's
Okay.
a good thing. I wish I had Michael Moore's money, but I don't.
Okay.
But so, I'll get a little personal here. I don't. There's probably quite a bit people don't know about me. But one of the things that I've gotten into during this COVID pandemic is actually bird watching, putting out bird feeders, and just taking a moment to kind of just enjoy life and look at the world that's around you. I think that it's one of the things that we don't do a very good job at doing anymore. And so I've really gotten into that. It's kind of a becoming a hobby. I'm still an amateur at it. I'm haven't gone crazy yet, but it's something that I've really enjoyed doing this past, how long has it been? 18 months almost. So yeah, I think that's something that probably people don't know. And of course, everyone knows I like to fish, I think. But
it seems to be where you spend most of your vacation
that's
hours.
yes, exactly. That's where I spend most of my. But see, that you were asking me to tell you something people don't know. So that, and I love to read. Yeah.
Okay. Any particular genre you like to read?
U.S. history.
Okay, history
Yeah.
buff.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, this is the tough question. You've just gotten a new job. You've just inherited a new staff. You have inherited a lot of new responsibilities in a time period where, as an organization, we're in a period of dynamic change. We've had a reorganization that's affected your division in a great deal, because we now are no longer aligned with Atlanta. We're more aligned with Denver, and that has brought on some personnel changes and some changes in the work product that we do. What would you say is the best part about your current job?
Well, I think that change, while daunting, is also probably the funnest thing, because, like you say, we've gotten to partner with Denver. I mean, it's a whole new office we're getting to know, and you're right. Part of the staff that I oversee, or part of the team that I oversee, works in Denver. So getting to know new people has been, to me, amazing. It's been a great opportunity, because I think one of the things this restructuring has done is sort of open the doors a little bit for us to network a little bit more, get to know more people, get to know their skill sets. So for me, the part of it is just having the opportunity to get to know new people, and I think it's been great. But also, just the broad work that DHPO does. I mean, we're overseeing billion-dollar health insurance organizations, and we're dealing with consumer and beneficiary concerns. So we have a lot on our plate, and I think that moving from a prior position where I was more focused on one particular element to the broader context has really been enjoyable to me. It's been fun to kind of sink my teeth into our broad operation versus that sort of laser focus I had in my prior position.
That's great. Mike, we're so grateful for you being our guinea pig and being our first
Yes.
interview. We have endeavored in this newsletter to make it interactive. We're going to have a film piece, and this is going to be the film
This
piece.
is really cool. I've
So
enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's fun, and
Yes.
you've been a good sport being our first victim, and I really appreciate it. I hope that each of you get an opportunity to come by and congratulate Mike on his new job. And if you're wondering where he's located in the building, he is here in management office number 13 in the
Lucky 13.
HBO division, and we are really excited to have Mike on board in his new role. Thank you again, Mike.
Thank you. I
Good to see
appreciate
you,
it.
buddy.
Yes, absolutely.